Greetings, citizens, and welcome back to the Hidden Dagger Inn. As the holiday season provided a well-deserved break for Intrepid Studios and Alpha 2 Phase 2 testing and Ashes of Creation, continued in full swing with the players keeping the servers lively and delivering critical data. Here's a recap of the past 2 weeks highlighting the gameplay, systems, corruption, the exploitation that happened, and impending consequences of that said exploitation, player feedback, and some community sentiment. So without further ado, let's begin. As far as leveling, since we started a new character, leveling progression appears to be steady, with the initial 250-hour curve feeling achievable. Personally, I reached level 25 on my bard in approximately about 100 hours. Now, that seems kind of slow, as I'm sure most people did it faster, but much of this time was spent on gathering, as I'm a journeyman and lumberjacking, mining, and hunting. Also did a lot of crafting. It feels balanced at this stage of testing. I love slower leveling and the time needed to achieve it. Personally, I really wouldn't mind if it were even slower. As far as some of the gameplay loops we have available, such as caravans and treasure maps, for many people they were bugged, including myself, but lots of people were able to achieve what they wanted to with those. The potential to make money in some of the top tier gatherables and the conflict with caravans remains evident, as there were many being raided all through the whole 2 week period. Once addressed, these systems definitely promise to enhance Ashes of Creation experience further, and these are a lot of fun when they work properly. They are very, very enjoyable, and will be in the game long term. Dungeons in this phase so far were definitely a highlight. All the dungeons, from Ruins of Cephalion to Steel Bloom to Tower of Carfin, were teeming with players eager for gear and materials. Definitely hotspots. In particular, especially the sewers became a real contention, because that's where Steven said he was trying to create conflict by basically putting the best gear in that area and letting people fight for it. The problem was the mechanics of the whole situation and the way it's currently designed, and how painful and punishing the corruption system is if a group that you're trying to force out doesn't fight back. And I'll get into that. I'll talk more about the corruption system just in a bit, but first I want to go ahead and continue addressing the dungeons and what happens usually when two or more groups are vying for one area. Basically, it comes down to this. Another guild comes in, you try to get first tag and DPS and see if you can get 60% of the damage done, or 40 if you have the tag, in order to get the experience. Sometimes those groups get frustrated and move on. Other times they get butthurt, and then they try to leash mobs on you instead of flagging. Now, often if you flag and you want a real fight, a lot of times they won't fight back, trying to get you to go corrupted so that they could then kill you. So right now the situation is flawed. I suggest definitely, at least in those high contention areas where Steven wants that high conflict, there needs to be some kind of demarcation line where everybody that enters can be flagged. Now you're saying, well, Peon, there's just going to bring in big guilds and, fight you out of there. Well, that's a very strong possibility. So I guess maybe you should join another guild, and one that's going to help you out. How about that? On another topic, I've seen a lot of complaints from players about how long it takes to traverse the world. And well, my guys, you have not seen anything yet, because this is only 3 biomes out of 18. It's going to get a lot bigger, and the trip's going to be a lot longer. That being said, when scientific nodes come into play in their metropolises, they will have those portals that you make travel a little bit quicker. And then, of course, we'll eventually see the family summoning system, which I'm sure will have some kind of timer mechanic on it where you can't do it all the time. However, Steven did mention recently that he is going to be letting us use node-to-node travel via the stables potentially, which reminds me of an old DAOC mechanic where you bought a ticket and then rode a horse on a predetermined route, which you cannot be attacked. I could see them not letting you ride unless your inventory was empty, however. That way you can't bring materials from one node to the other without using the intended caravan system or mules to do so. This is one that kind of boggled my mind a little bit. Combat mechanics and resource contention. Steven says he wants to create conflict through the world. He wants there to be risk-reward. But yet a recent decision by Steven says that they're going to restrict crowd control abilities such as mesmerize or sleep when during somebody gathering resources. While this aims to prevent abuse, I'm not really sure what abuse it is. Basically, you're fighting for a resource that you want. If he wants it, then he should either flag up and fight you, or he should go the fuck away. And by sleeping them or mesmerizing them, we're not saying that we're going to kill them. We are saying that we will fight for that node, and you will have every opportunity to flag up and hit me and try to take those resources back, or hit me in the process of taking them. That's what risk reward is all about, right? We want that node. We want to fight for it, regardless of what level that player is. Either you shit or you get off the pot. And taking away our marionette or mezzing abilities to go ahead and just put them to sleep while we mine the node, and then they can flag up afterward, is bad. Because what are you going to do now? You're going to make me go ahead and hit him with get off my stage? Well, if he's low enough, it might just damn well kill him. So going red is not an option. Because going red and going corrupted is far too punishing, as it should be, as Steven wants it. But that shouldn't be the situation for just gathering nodes. I hope Steven takes time to revisit this comment that he made and think about this whole mechanic. And is what people are doing by sleeping somebody for a node, is it really wrong? You're still giving them an opportunity to fight back, and isn't that what this game's about? So I beg Steven to please look at this situation. Moving on to the marketplace. Their bare bones marketplace proved surprisingly functional. It enabled players to trade and locate rare items. While future iterations will undoubtedly expand its capabilities, the initial version highlights the importance of a robust in-game economy. While some people sought to only complain about it, I was rather thankful to have it instead of having to spam global just to trade something. Well, especially on Verra, we all know what happened when, I'm not going to say guilds' names or call out anybody in particular. We'll let the data sort this out. But Steven Sharif's warnings against people who exploit and abuse have set the stage for a monumental moment in Ash's development. Exploits undermine the integrity of testing by allowing players to outlevel, outgear, and dominate unfairly, and this just snowballs. To maintain trust and ensure a fair experience for all the other testers doing the right thing, decisive action is necessary. My personal recommendation would be, if it's their second offense, to immediately remove them from alpha testing with re-entry and betas. Third strike, permanent account bans to deter repeat offenders. This approach would establish a firm precedent, ensuring players respect the testing process and the game's integrity. Steven needs to lay down the law now. A failure to properly make it crystal fucking clear what exploiting will get you, with so many eyes watching and waiting, would be very bad for Ash's creation if he doesn't come through. I'll often watch the community sentiment, and watching global and talking to the guild, just seeing what people have to say. And despite some recent criticisms from content creators, I think that Steven Sharif's recent Twitch streams have definitely reinvigorated the community's trust, running around checking on exploiters and passing out Santa hats. If you take the time to watch Steven in his streams, or even on the live streams, there is no doubt that this man is extremely passionate about the project that he is making. And this is completely epitomized in his recent discussion with Asmongold, as he talks about his commitment to delivering Ash as a creation, and how talks of it being a scam are completely unfounded. I understand that many people over the years have been misled by publishers and not really knowing what a true alpha is. Now, Steven's been very transparent about telling people over and over that this is an alpha, and it truly is. Not as much of an alpha as I've seen in other games, which I won't name. This is still very, playable, but it is an alpha nonetheless. There's lots of stuff to put in and lots of bugs to be taken care of. So yes, it's very much an alpha in that sense. Steven is committed to this project, and he will see it to completion. He has already put in $55 million of his own dollars in his personal investment, and said he'll probably add another 50 more before it's all said and done. And to be honest, I think Steven's tough enough to handle people criticizing him, as that's kind of the position that he's been put into, being the lead of it. However, I think where he draws the line is people going after his developers, which is totally understandable. Those guys have worked their asses off, and they even went through some seriously long crunch time to deliver us alpha on time, like they said. Like anything else with most people, you can criticize somebody, but the second you go after somebody's family, and the dev team to Steven is family, you're fucking with the wrong people when you do that. So, looking ahead, as testing continues on a 5-day schedule from Wednesday to Sunday, the journey towards Ashes of Creation Persistent Alpha on May 1st is filled with promise for sure. This is a game for the ages, crafted by a gamer for us gamers. Let's remain constructive, support the development team, and continue shaping Verra to an unparalleled MMO experience. Thanks for watching, Verra, and have a blessed day.